this really ridiculous, just so you know.
We're officially live, which is exciting. All right, let me get myself ready. Lube the joints. All right. The stopwatch. Okay. Fanny Pack Wrestling in 3, 2, 1. Buenos nachos, amigos, and welcome to another fine episode of the Fanny Pack Wrestling Podcast. I'm Petey Rave, your man with no plan. Here with me, as always, is my co-host for the Fanny Pack, my tag team partner, none other than David Jeffrey Majors, a.k.a. DJ M. How you doing, Deej?
Fannypack. Fanny Pack's fabulous. Fanny Pack's fabulous. Petey Rave, my friend, we're back doing the Fanny Pack Wrestling Podcast once again. God, that theme song is stuck in my head. It's never going away. We're continuing the awesome series, my friend. This is the segment of Fanny Pack where I've gone into my vault of extra special, awesome indie wrestling shows, pulled one out, and we've invited two guests on to see what they thought about this particular high-quality indie wrestling show. Petey, let's introduce our guests.
Mm-hmm. First of all, we have, as part of the Tadpool contingent, we have one of the coolest guys on in the Tadpool, kind of one of the resident guys, the official Trek Nerd Stumper, or at least one of the main ones that is in charge of that, but de facto in charge of that. We have none other than Icewarm Mike Boyd. How you doing, Mike?
Good. How you guys doing?
We're doing pretty good.
Good.
Indeed. Who else do we got?
We have also a friend of mine from the depths of the IWC, from the ProWrestling.com forums, my good friend representing Kent State University, Mr. Cody Anderson. Cody, thanks for coming on Fanny Pack.
No problem. Bada bing, bada boom. Realest guys in the room.
How you doing?
How you doing? We're excited to talk about this event today. The premise of the segment, the Awesome Series, is the best of the best. DJ's best of the best. And when it comes to, if you know this podcast, if you happen to know this podcast, and you know we're talking about the best of the best, there's one promotion that you know we're not going to
miss. The CZW Best of the Best tournament from 2004.
Exactly.
I don't even know if they had a Best of the Best in 2004, but no, you're close, but not quite. We're talking about Chikara! Yes!
We're talking about King of Trios.
King of Trios 2011. Why 2011? Because, well, out of all of the King of Trios events, including the one that I attended live in 2010, I would dare say that this might be the best weekend of indie wrestling, tournament style, that I've ever witnessed. And it was 3 nights of pure, concentrated awesome. Now, just to get it underway, Mike, for a second, Chikara, King of Trios, any thoughts on Chikara?
Well, I hadn't really heard anything about it until I was asked to be on the show, and then I watched the third night, and I was pretty much blown away. It was amazing. I would definitely watch more of it, actually.
Yeah, and you had little expectations. And Cody, I have to ask you, what expectations did you have coming into checking out Chikara King of Trios?
Well, first, I previously have experience with Chikara.
Yeah, Cody, I don't know. Yeah, Petey, I don't know if I dropped that one on you,
yeah.
But Cody's kind of a ringer.
Yes.
Yeah.
As they say in various circles, he's a DJM guy, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
But I'm a casual Chikara fan.
Uh-huh.
But King of Trios 2011, I picked this show specifically. And, Cody, I know you do have some experience viewing Chikara. Overall, just before we jump in, what'd you think?
I loved it, especially night 2 and 3. Night 1 dragged a little, but overall there was a lot of action, good comedy spots, and the right team won.
The right team won. But let's talk.
before we jump totally all the way in, any highlights or any significant moments from night one? I know for me it was really the opening match of the show on night one, which is really just, you could almost call this one the DJM special. It was the Osirian portal of viral YouTube hit fame taking on 3.0 and the generic luchador El Generico, the team collectively known as 3.0 Cody, did you see this one, night one, the opening match?
I did. It was one of the funnest from the first show. The best part was, Generico. His energy was infectious. His connection with the crowd was off the charts. I'm a Gabe Sapolsky guy, and I have to paraphrase a quote of his. It doesn't matter how many people are in the room, if it's 100 to 15,000. If you can have a small crowd eating out of your hand, you have a giant crowd eating out of your hand. That's why, his protege, as the rumor goes, Sami Zayn, has that connection. You learn that from him.
That's right. Sami Zayn, El Generico, by all accounts, taught him everything he knows. And again, I've said this over and over and over again. The sky's the limit for Sami Zayn. And again, I was just so happy to see El Generico again. I love me some El Generico.
Yes. Ole. Gotta love hearing that friggin' bouncing souls. That just fills you with so much energy once you hear those riffs of bouncing souls going through the speakers.
Mike, did you happen to catch night one and night two?
I think I downloaded them from our save location, but I only watched night 3 so far. I'm gonna go back and watch 1 and 2.
All right. Well, let's jump in.
Great magic there.
And
let's jump into night three. Yes, let's jump into night 3. Night 3 was if you're talking about one of the nights that's got to have some concentrated awesome, it's night 3. And it starts off with a fantastic match. You got the Colony as the formation that existed then. Colony, which was Fire Ant, Soldier Ant, and Green Ant, taking on the aforementioned Osirian portal, of course, Amasis Ophidian, and their then member Hierakon, who, if you're unaware, is also known as Jonathan Gresham. The Osirian portal and the Colony. What kind of context could we give for the guys for this match, Siege?
I would call this a truly classic Chikara match in the purest sense of the word. This is pure Chikara. It's a 6-man tag. It's lucha rules. It's 2 Chikara teams that are Chikara originals that you will see in Chikara until the end of time. All products of the Wrestle Factory, save for Jonathan Gresham. And it was terrific. It had all of those things that make Chikara what it is. Mike, just jumping in, I know you said you weren't too savvy on Chikara. What did you think of this, just jumping in?
No, I thought it was a great match. I thought it kind of started out a little bit slowly, but then, it built up and was... I kind of lost track of who the actual legal people were at one point. Because I think it started off where everybody was just tagging in and out, and then it just kind of... Everybody was, like, all over, and it was, the high flying and all the kind of stuff I love. It was a great match.
Yeah, one of the things that we touched upon in our previous iterations of Chikara is their iteration, their input in... their use of the lucha tag, which is where as long as somebody comes out of the ring, that counts as a tag. That's as good as slapping hands. When somebody goes out, somebody can come in immediately, and that it creates for those great moments where people are diving, and then the next guy can come in and start something else, and they dive, and the next guy can come in and start something else, and that's one of those like signature Chikara things, which makes her great high-paced action. And I have to ask Cody, what was your impression of this opening contest? What did you think going in?
What I really enjoyed was this match was one of the first one to have 2 Chikara teams going at it. 2011 had a lot of non-Chikara teams, unlike this year. It was a much better than the BDK match from night 2 for the Colony.
Right. That was one of the things about
Yeah.
2009, 2010, and 2011 with King of Trios, in that it had become so popular and so well known that Chikara went all out with bringing in all sorts of special guests, and this whole show was just filled with them from promotions from all over the world and all eras of wrestling time and space,
Yes.
which is really what made Chikara at the time really, really special and unique. But moving on to that, we had another Chikara team, Fist, consisting of Icarus, Johnny Gargano, and Smooth Chucky T. Chuck Taylor. Somebody signed this man already.
Yes.
Taking on the team representing Michinoku Pro, consisting of the Great Sasuke, Dick Togo, and the man formerly known as Hakushi in the WWF, Jinsei Shinsaki. Mike, just jumping in, were you familiar with any of the guys from Michinoku Pro?
I think I was familiar with just a couple of them, and I wasn't really familiar with anybody from the Fist team, except I pretty much figured out pretty quickly they were kind of like the heel team because they were the ones that were constantly cheating.
Oh, yes.
They're at this point they were at their peak of being heels. I think close to their peak. This was like back in the day. Icarus full on. I think he's gotten
Icarus
to
was
his tattoo.
might have been the most hated guy in indie wrestling. Chuck Taylor was still at the time, and you could probably even still say the most beloved jerk in wrestling. He was a complete jerk, but everyone loved him for it. He would scare children, elbow random objects for no reason, and Johnny Gargano was still Johnny Gargano.
Yeah, and he was like biting people's like boots and all that kind of stuff, and it was pretty entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Cody, Fist versus Michinoku Pro. How'd you feel about it?
That Johnny Gargano kid really impressed me. Really impressed me.
We've debated on this before, Cody.
Hey, I love Chucky T too. Don't worry.
I know. And Icarus, of course, is gold always.
Oh yeah, most hated man for sure.
Yeah, and Mike, you were able to kind of recognize you weren't as familiar, but not being as familiar. What was your impression of the match and these guys' abilities?
It was pretty good. I think I recognized a couple of guys from the Team Michinoku team, but the abilities on all of them were all pretty good. They're all really solid.
Also, it needs to be noted that the great Sasuke, in his advanced age, has really become something of a pretty good comedy wrestler. Earlier in the weekend, he would do the slow motion wrestling with Darren Corbin from Team Minnesota. He's put on some really wacky comedy matches in Japan. And all over this show, he was just an absolute nutball, and it was wonderful. And a lot of times in this match, he still showed that he could really go, as they say, at a pretty high level. And I will say also from this team, seeing Jinsei Shinzaki, Hakushi, who was really a favorite of mine from the mid-90s WWF, that was just awesome for me. I loved seeing him. And it's like he hasn't aged a day either. Even in Japan, when he still works occasionally, he's exactly the same, and it's incredible. And the way these guys are still able to hang with three very young guys like this, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic seeing all these kind of guys go at the pace that they went, and I always love I enjoy Fist, and it's always cool kind of going back to kind of the pre-break Chikara, the pre everything went down Chikara, and see some of these places.
The pre-boot. Let's call that the pre-boot.
The pre-boot. And even earlier, seeing kind of a slightly scrawnier version of Green Ant, it made me realize how much more in shape he is nowadays as Silver Ant, and it's like, whoa, he looked like that before, and it was crazy.
And one constant through all of this, Chuck Taylor is still fantastic.
Yes. He still needs to be signed immediately to somewhere, at least Japan. Come on, he'd be perfect in Japan. He'd just be a Southern and do racist things, and it'd be hilarious and awesome.
He could join the Bullet Club.
Yeah.
Chuck Taylor and the Bullet Club might be something
He'd fit in with AJ Styles.
Really good.
Yes, he
Yes.
would. He really would. And Jeff Jarrett.
hmm But yeah, going on to kind of the next contest, a nice little singles exhibition with Jigsaw taking on Ultimate Spider Jr., representing Osaka Pro.
Are we okay with calling this match a cool-down match?
Yeah, I think it was. They attempted to be more than that, but I would say, in the grand scheme of things, this one kind of had to be the cooldown match.
I'm willing to give this match a pass, simply because I saw it as the cooldown. Jigsaw, of course, is good against everybody. Ultimate Spider Jr. was okay. This was a solid indie singles match, and I will say that because I was getting an impression from the crowd that they really weren't quite getting into it. Maybe the first two matches of the show burned them out a little bit, and this was night 3. And again, speaking as someone who has gone to all 3 nights of King of Trios, by night 3, you're pretty spent. Cody, Jigsaw versus Ultimate Spider. You know Jigsaw pretty well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What do you think of this?
Yeah, I can agree. It was a cool-down match. It wasn't bad by any means, but it got lost in the shuffle. It was like anything you can do, I can do better type of match. We're trying to show their athletic prowess in the ring.
Yeah.
As you said, Jigsaw was wonderful, but Spider, he was okay. He had better showings on the previous nights.
He did. He did.
Yeah, and he had his moments, doing the spider thing, doing the kind of the slingshot moment. He had his moments, so yeah, it was definitely a cool. It was a cool down match, but not to pepper your opinion, Mike. What did you think of the contest?
I thought this match was all right. I mean, this was one of the shorter matches. I think it was only like 7 minutes long, or maybe it was longer than that. But let me see. Yeah, the next tag is a tag team match. So yeah, it was one of the shorter matches, but I thought it was pretty good for it being a shorter match.
And with a lot of these tournament-style weekend shows with the indies, especially on the last night, how would you put this? There's a lot of padding between the beginning of the show and the ending of the show. A perfect example of this year's WrestleMania, where Daniel Bryan and Triple H opened the show. Daniel Bryan won, but he had the entire show to rest and get ready for the main event. A lot of these indie tournaments, the Battle of Los Angeles, whatever IAW is doing, King of Trios, they're pretty much the same. The first opening 2 contests were the semifinals of the King of Trios tournament. And the rest of the show, including Rey de Voladores and what's coming up next, and Jigsaw versus Ultimate Spider, were really made to give everybody some time to rest and get ready for the finals. And we jump into something of a traditional Chikara King of Trios staple for the weekend, along with the Rey de Voladores tournament, the Tag Team Gauntlet, in which various tag teams will compete in a gauntlet-style match, with the final surviving team getting 3 points and being able to challenge for the Chikara Campeonatos de Parejas. Tag team wrestling. Mike, going in, what did you think of the idea of the tag team gauntlet and the Chikara unique point system for challenging for the tag team titles?
Well, I thought it was pretty interesting. I had never seen a match like this before. I think the closest thing I've seen to this is something you'd probably see in like a video game where it's like a tournament, but basically I like that it was, they would switch the teams out after a team lost. And then there's a couple various wrestlers that I've noticed from other places, like Luke Harper was there and stuff like that, which I thought was pretty interesting and pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's
yes.
A couple of well-notable wrestlers made an appearance.
Forgive me because I'm seriously drawing a blank. Was Mr. Cesaro on this show anywhere?
No, he was not. And he wasn't in this weekend. He was actually touring Japan.
He was in Japan.
Time.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was the motivational factor of Eddie Kingston. Would not head, but yeah.
This must have been like right before he got signed. Also, Sarah Del Rey, the trainer in NXT, on this show, tagging with Daisy Hayes.
Yeah, this is the first time I've seen them, and I was really impressed. I mean, even though they weren't in the match for like a really long time, I was pretty impressed with some of the moves they were doing.
Oh yeah,
They
Sarah Del Rey and Daisy Hayes were a pretty great, enjoyable tag team. And as I said, Sarah is training the Divas now in NXT, so she's fantastic. She's top quality.
yes,
Cody,
yes.
the tag team gauntlet. You've seen these Chikara wacky tag team gauntlet shows before. What did you think?
It was fun. The best sequence though was with Darkness Crabtree and Sarah Del Rey.
Yes.
Matt Classic and Darkness
You
Crabtree
guys,
Yeah.
you
are
guys
the best
know
part of everything.
I love me some Darkness Crabtree. I love
Yeah.
me some Darkness Crabtree. So anytime he shows up, I lose my mind. And him and Matt Classic were a perfect combination. And I remembered when they were in that Matt Classic and Darkness Crabtree, it started off with Darkness kind of big leaguing the young kid Matt Classic, saying,
Yes.
"Hit the bricks, Matthew. I got this." And then he didn't, because Darkness Crabtree's really, really, really old. Like,
And it's
really old.
and then it starts off with it. And we have Matt Classic mistaking Sarah and Daisy for ring girls and handing them his gear, and then turning around and is like, "All right, bring
Also,
the guys up."
Don't forget
Mike
he was going to
and-
spank her too.
Yes.
And to Mike and to anyone out there that might be confused as to why we're talking about Matt Classic, I'll put it this way for those of you scoring at home. El Generico is to Sami Zayn as Matt Classic is to Colt Cabana. Figure it out from there.
Mhm.
Yeah, I thought that whole segment was pretty funny. It was a good way to add a little bit of humor to the show.
Yeah.
And that is something that Chikara does exceptionally well, in that they do not allow pro wrestling to be forgotten for what it is, and that it is a strange, silly genre of entertainment. And so many times over the years, the tag team gauntlet, and not even the main tournament itself of King of Trios, are what oftentimes bring about the best moments. And I think this tag gauntlet and many others are indicative of that. And I think that going on later in the show, we have one of those matches that we're going to talk about later that I think was a really, really great moment. And it wasn't even part of the tournament.
Mhm.
But
yeah,
right now,
I want to ask Mike, did you have any particular favorite moments from the tag team gauntlet, or particular favorite teams that you enjoyed?
Favorite teams? Probably not. It's probably Brody Lee and Grizzly Redwood, probably, because I at least recognized, or I guess we know him now as Luke Harper in WWE, and that was nice. And then also I was really impressed with Sarah Del Rey and Daisy, because I had really never seen them before. I mean, I think I've heard the name, or I've heard of Sarah Del Rey from NXT, but had never seen her wrestle, and it was really impressive.
Yeah, and they really exhibited fantastic women's wrestling, and I think now going into this following contest, speaking of exhibiting fantastic women's wrestling, we have Manami Toyota, one of the greatest of all time, at least taking on the wonderful Madison Eagles. Deej, what are you? Let's start with your thoughts. What context can you give the guys about these two competitors?
well, Madison Eagles is another personal favorite of mine. In my opinion, the best wrestler to ever come out of Australia. She cut a promo before this match, basically saying that if she wanted to be seen as one of the best, she had to compete and beat one of the best, that being Manami Toyota. Manami Toyota, arguably one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time, male or female, innovative, athletic, intense, put on countless high-quality matches. She's everything a Joshi megastar is supposed to be. Granted, at this point, she wasn't exactly young in comparison to Madison Eagles, but the match that they had, in my opinion, was pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
Cody, I know you're a watcher of Shimmer. So you probably know a little bit about women's wrestling. Madison Eagles and Manami Toyota. What did you think?
If I recall, I think this is when Madison Eagles was starting her best work during this period and was becoming her own and a name in women's wrestling. And Manami Toyota is a legend in Joshi and here, but it met my expectations. Chikara just continues to deliver top-notch women's wrestling. Toyota may be the greatest female wrestler, and she may be up in the top 20 wrestlers of all time, including males.
Yeah, fantastic. And I thought
Mike,
yeah, what was your impression?
I'll just say, giving you context, think of this in comparison to what you normally see from ladies on television. What did you think of this by itself and in comparison?
Well, by itself, I thought it was a great match. Great performances from both the contestants or wrestlers. What do you want to call them? Like it was like a lot of like technical wrestling and also some top rope stuff and all that. And compared to what I've seen lately from like WWE, it just blows it out of the water easily.
Mm-hmm.
I will say thanks to Sarah, NXT is better, but you can thank Sarah for that.
Yeah, because I probably haven't seen like a decent like Divas match, or probably since like the Trish Stratus and Lita days probably. And I think this was probably better than that.
If you're able to watch NXT, do that because you'll see it there, and you'll see what I see is touches of Sarah Del Rey's influence all over the ladies in NXT. There's definitely a difference. And going back to Madison Eagles for a second, she is someone that I would say within women's wrestling is probably better all around than Sarah. I'm a huge fan of hers, and I think that she is someone that is on the level of Manami Toyota in her day, and I enjoyed every second of this. Seeing Manami Toyota get executing all of her moves, seeing Madison Eagles really hanging with her, I thought it was pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Madison Eagles always gave us one of our favorite moments, I believe, from WrestleCon or one of the events where she got streamers and her reaction was, "I got streamers!" In the most excited reaction and most excited way possible, in her adorable accent. It was fantastic, and I still remember that. It was just fantastic. But moving on to another contest, a couple of strikers. Going at it, we have your boy from Yonkers, Eddie Kingston, taking on the visiting Akira Tozawa, representing. I guess at this point, was he Dragon Gate at this point? I know he was. Dragon Gate now.
This was during his American excursion from Dragon Gate when like American indie fans fell in love with Akira Tozawa. Cody, do you remember that time when everybody fell in love with Akira Tozawa?
Yeah, this was the time when he was in PWG, mixing it up with Hero, Steam, others. You just gotta love the crazy guy.
Yes.
And he managed to keep things family friendly in Chikara, which, good for him. And he went head to head with the King of Diamonds, Eddie Kingston. Mike, I'm really interested in this. What did you think of Eddie Kingston?
I thought he was pretty solid. He had some pretty impressive clotheslines and the chops and all that. And then he was pretty impressive. He kind of reminded me of some of the, I think it was like in the WCW when they had, I don't know if it was what their group was called, but it was kind of reminded like of them, and they were like kind of like an Italian mob kind of angle. I was reminded of that a little bit. It could have been that, something like that. But I mean, he was obviously better than those guys. But I thought it was pretty solid and really. Like I said, like some of the kicks he was getting hit with, and then the finish where it was, I think it was like a spinning chop was pretty impressive as well.
Yeah, it was some fantastic work. Like Eddie Kingston, I've said it before, is one of those interesting anomalies in Chikara, because Chikara is this kind of semi-wacky promotion, very comic book, very cartoon character, but then you have this angry dude from Yonkers. This angry dude from Yonkers shows up and starts hitting people with sliding Ds and spinning back elbows. Spinning back fists, and and it just kind of throws you for a loop. Is that what do you think, Cody? Do you agree with that sense that Eddie Kingston is kind of this odd man out, but in the best ways possible?
Yeah, he really doesn't fit in as like a comedy character, but he fits in perfectly with them. He's the oddball. He's the one you need.
Yeah,
Just
he's
his hard-hitting
definitely-
style. Yeah, his hard-hitting
Yeah.
style has backed this to the future.
Is and the promos like it. I don't know if necessarily this was the best promo, but he's one of the best promo guys in indie wrestling. Like, his promo. I don't know if you remember it. The promo he did on Lindsay Dorado. You know, the world is cold. Bundle up. You know, where he referenced Lindsay Dorado's seizure, and it's like when he was lying on the ground, foaming out your mouth, and it's like he gave me goosebumps. That was one of the best promos of all time, I think, of indie wrestling. It's just fantastic. And I dig Akira Tozawa. He's, especially recently, he has a very cool manic style that is fantastic. And he does some cool things that remind me of like video games. He has this like, the way he runs is so manic and fun. It's fantastic. But yeah, that being said, that was Eddie Kingston and Akira Tozawa. Moving on to, I think, one of the best storylines in the night, which was the kind of the Raid of Volador's finals. We had the 1-2-3 kid, otherwise known as
Yes.
Sean Waltman.
The 1-2-3.
El Generico for the Raid of Volador.
I just wanna say once again, thanks to my hero and my man crush, Lightning Mike Quackenbush, for being involved in putting all of this together and just giving me so many memories of the good things that came out of the World Wrestling Federation in 1995. The 1-2-3 Kid, Hakushi, just wonderful. And this match.
Yeah, I think this was probably my favorite match of the thing. I think.
I think that this match between El Generico and the 1-2-3 Kid, this may have been the match that helped El Generico decide to go back to Tijuana and take care of the orphans, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and Cody, Petey, you understand what I'm saying. Mike, I don't know if you get what I'm alluding to here, but I'm pretty sure this was the match that sealed El Generico's fate. This probably got a lot of the world's attention on El Generico.
It probably told him like, okay, this is where I've accomplished as much as I can accomplish. This is my top, performance. At least one of them, and I think it's it's time to put that part of my life behind and do good for the world.
And then next thing you know, Sami Zayn was at NXT.
Yeah, well, I mean, El Generico
to carry on El Generico's torch.
El Generico, remember.
Because I'm sure the Kid probably put his name out there after that match, but in the end, it was his protege, Sami Zayn.
Yeah, put in a good word for him, which is nice. I think that was a really good thing that you did for him.
Mike, what did you think overall, seeing the 1-2-3 Kid, as he called it, his redemption in pro wrestling? Because Lord knows he's been through a lot.
Yeah.
What did you think?
I thought the match, overall, I just thought the match was amazing. Like some of the top rope, X Factor, and then the top rope brain buster, onto the turnbuckle. I thought he was just gonna do a regular brain buster, off of the turnbuckle onto the mat. And I was really impressed.
As it was known in the indies, the brain buster.
Yeah. So overall, I hadn't seen the 1-2-3 Kid wrestle in a while. It had been probably whatever his last run in WWE was, and then I've seen him in various interviews and stuff like that. But
he was mostly in Mexico for AAA. That's where he had been most of the time. He's pretty much semi-retired now, but this was kind of like his last big match.
Yeah, because at the end he said it was probably going to be his last year doing it, I think.
Yeah, but
overall, I
was
was
in Mexico for a while.
Yeah, I had read that he was down there. Just hadn't seen anything with him in like from that area. But like this match, I was like reminded of like how good of a wrestler like he actually is.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked him back in like the WWE days and WCW when he was in the NWO, and then seeing this match, like it was reminded me of just like how awesome he can be.
Yeah.
And then El Generico, I've seen like clips of him, like some stuff from like Ring of Honor and stuff like that, and this match was amazing as well from both wrestlers.
Yeah.
Cody, what is there left to say about El Generico? What is there left to say?
First off, this is the dream match I never knew I wanted, but I needed this in my life. The emotion was off the charts. Redemption, because he did need it. Just remember his TNA run with the band near the end.
Yes.
How great that was.
The band.
Generico.
Oh, the band.
He was the king of the Indies at the time, with Danielson gone and others. He was the king, and this match proved it.
Yeah. And again, it's so great to see his protege Sami Zayn doing so well in NXT, and I feel like it's only a matter of time for Sami Zayn.
You learn from the best.
Moving into the main event of the evening.
Or the main event of the evening. As the at this point still wildly haired Gavin Loudspeaker. God, it's crazy seeing that hair again.
I wish I had hair like that.
Yeah, it's like nowadays it's just the greasy locks, all worn down. But when he had it like all spiked and going in 4 different directions, it was amazing.
He was taking cues from his cousin Loud and Noxious from Kaiju Big Battle.
Mm-hmm. And I think he decided to create his own identity, which is nice. I mean, but I miss the hair. But that being said, the main event of the evening, the King of Trios finals. We had the Colony, Fire Ant, Soldier Ant, and Green Ant. I guess the Colony 2.0, taking on Fist. Chuck Taylor, Johnny Gargano, and Icarus. We've talked about the guys already earlier in the show, but this was a throwdown showdown between the Colony, the Great Ants of Chikara.
the ultimate Chikara Rudo team and the ultimate Chikara Technico team. It was
exactly
good versus evil. It was your perfect pro wrestling big time match. Mike, what did you think of the finals?
The finals I thought were really interesting. There was one moment, I don't know why I focused on this. I watched it a couple of times just to see what happened. There's a part where I think like Green Ant was like against the post and like Chuck Taylor hit him with a chair, and the way the chair like flew out of his hand was really funny looking. But overall, like the match, I loved like it was even like more high flying than the first match they were in, like especially with the like what was it like the Green or Soldier Ant and Fire Ant basically like hoisted Green Ant like above the ring, probably like at least like 10 feet up, and then
the anthill.
Yeah, that was an awesome finish. And then also when I hadn't seen this in wrestling either in a long time, was when people throw like I guess it's like chalk, I think.
Yes.
I was glad to see that stuff come back because that's been a while since I've seen that. I don't know if that's like exclusive to the indies or more used there, but
that's one of those things that I talk about with Chikara, where you see those little Easter eggs to wrestling of days gone by. Like some of the stuff with a lot of the Michinoku Pro guys and some of the stuff with Manami Toyota. They were little nods, little Easter eggs to things in pro wrestling that have kind of fallen by the wayside. I really loved this match from start to finish. It was, and I hate using this word. I passionately hate using this word, but it was fantastic wrestling psychology from start to finish. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, and then I don't know if and then like how they were attacking Green Ant's on like shoulder or whatever it was. I don't know if that was if his shoulder was actually injured or that was just like they were just doing that. I mean, it's wrestling. If he was actually hurt, they probably wouldn't be doing it.
That's the magic of pro wrestling. That's the magic.
It was an old injury.
But like the whole like injury angle was pretty interesting because he got hit with a chair and then he kept getting like his arm wrapped around the post and slammed into it, and it made you really want them to win even more because they were using like dirty moves to basically like hitting him with chairs and stuff like that.
So,
but
Cody,
great match.
Cody, what was your impression of the main event? How did it culminate for you?
It was satisfying. After years of the colony, not winning, getting so close, they finally get it. There's a lot to love. The false
and over
finishes.
Fist, especially.
This, the ultimate heel team, the Rudo team, I mean.
Who have won the tournament in the past as well.
Yes, with Granakuma. Just not Gargano.
Not Gargano. With
yes, not Gargano, Cody.
That's true.
I do enjoy me some Granakuma. I wish he was around more. He's fun on Twitter. And I have to ask, Mike, this is an important thing because I almost feel like we should ask anybody who we talk to Chikara about Chikara with. What was your impression of Icarus's tattoo?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was kind of interesting looking, but I mean, I don't have any tattoos myself, so I can't really speak to it. But.
Yes.
The Icarus tattoo. The Icarus.
I mean, it matches the character, but if he changes gimmicks ever, it might not really work out.
Well,
you need to watch 2014.
Chikara. What? Because now he is a Technico. Because he's the hero of Chikara, and one of the key things he brought Chikara back. One of the key things of his transformation is that he covered up the tattoo. he
wears ring gear where the tattoo is covered up now.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And that makes him a Technico now. If he chose the tattoo, it's...
Petey, both you and I have seen Icarus's back tattoo up close. Yeah.
It's worse than it looks.
It's so much worse.
Oh god.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of it didn't look too great. Like, I mean, I was just watching the video, so I guess it wasn't up close, but it didn't look as good as it could have. It didn't look like anything close as good as CM Punk tattoos or anything like that.
No. And it is historically bad, and so it is a thing to hate when he takes off his. That's why he comes out with the track jacket, because it is a part of his match when he comes in that he starts to take off his track jacket, and everybody wildly boos and derides the idea that he's going to take off the ring jacket and implores him not to. He's like, "Don't do it," and then he does, and everybody just boos and is shocked and horrified at the sight.
But yeah, that was Chikara King of Trios 2011, everybody. Overall, Cody, good, bad, indifferent. What do you have to say?
It may be the best King of Trios weekend of all time. From start to finish.
Yeah, fantastic weekend.
Mike, now that you have your first taste of Chikara, full on, what do you have to say?
I mean, I was really impressed with it overall. I only watched the night 3, but I'm probably gonna go back and watch 1 and 2, and maybe even look up maybe more stuff on online, just because I was really impressed with all the all the indie stuff I've seen. I haven't seen a whole lot, but it's all actual wrestling. It's more technical than anything that WWE does, and stuff like that. And that's one reason back in the day I kind of like WCW more for the wrestling, at least for the cruiserweight division.
Yes.
Because it was actual. It
was one of us, Pete.
It was a lot of stuff I hadn't seen before. All the high flying and all that, and then. But I mean, I'm definitely gonna probably check out more of this, and maybe Ring of Honor and stuff like that as well. I've seen a few Ring of Honor matches.
Yeah, Chikara is a fantastic promotion in the fact that it does offer that enhanced sense of a love for professional wrestling and that quality wrestling, and also for fun. It is a promotion that takes the craft seriously, so always brings the quality wrestling, but doesn't take itself seriously. So is willing to poke fun at itself, poke fun at the medium, Point fun at things around them and have fun with it while still putting out quality wrestling, quality product.
Yeah, like
And with
but I was gonna say, I think you don't always need like a huge amount of build up or like an angle or a storyline to have great wrestling. Just like I think this event just proved it right here, where you can just put a bunch of guys together and they can have a great match.
Yeah, but at the same token, the great thing about Chikara is how much intricate care they actually put into the storyline because
that is something, if you do dive into Chikara, that is something that you are going to be highly rewarded on, because there will be years and years worth of storytelling and continuity and all sorts of things that will keep you drawn in.
Yeah,
So
it's like with WWE now, it's like they'll start something and it'll be like a 1 month thing. It's like after the pay-per-view this thing is over, and then or it's over before it even starts pretty much.
Yeah.
So yes,
cool.
as Cody will tell you, if you take heed of what PD and I are saying, if you dive into Chikara, you will be rewarded consistently.
Yes, fantastic, fun stuff, and of course, this is the awesome series, and we bestowed upon our friends some awesome DJM, and I feel happy about that. I feel satisfied. I feel accomplished. And we talked about Chikara again, which I could never get enough of. I don't care if this ends up being just a Chikara podcast because
no, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna be talking New Japan, because New Japan has been fucking fantastic for the last 5 years. We're gonna talk about Lucha Underground coming up, and
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, Lucha Underground's gonna be really good. Everything about Lucha Underground.
The return of John Morrison.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah.
So guys, thanks for coming on. Cody, feel free to tell the Fanny Pack fans out there and the rest of the interwebs what you've got going on.
Right now, I'm a college student going full-time at Kent State University. Like I said, I'm studying psychology. I'm going to eventually get my PhD at Pittsburgh University in clinical psychology and be a therapist. And eventually, I'm going to start a podcast of my own if this pans out well enough. Because this is actually a lot of fun. I can see why you do it all the time.
Yes, it is.
Yes,
it's kind of fun and
all
crazy.
the time. Mike Boyd, thanks for coming on. Thanks for coming on Fanny Pack. Tell everybody out there what you've got going on.
Well, basically just all the behind-the-scenes stuff I do on the morning stream, like the Trek questions and then, the mashups and all that. And then I also do the Classic Wrestling Cast, which is basically kind of like this, but it's all about, older wrestling. And sometimes we get into a little bit of more newer stuff as well. But we'll probably be back with I did a short news episode just a couple of nights ago. It wasn't much. And then I'm probably going to be doing an episode sometime next week. We're probably going to be talking like Hell in a Cell and, giving our predictions on that.
And I gotta ask you. We gotta have you on here. I know I'm a TMS fan of quite a few are TMS fans. Is there going to be a theme this week?
Oh, a theme? Probably not. I haven't done a theme for the questions in a while, but usually those are fun to do.
I have a question as well regarding Stump the Trek Nerd. Okay. Like I said, I have not listened in a little while. Is it still just the original series and the Next Generation?
Yeah, I think so for now. Those are rules that Scott, I think, put into effect back when it first started. Okay. Or I guess for like a couple months they did other series that Daryl didn't really know. So I think they made it TOS and TNG only. And I think the movies as well. Or the movies that feature those casts, I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking as someone who is a loyal Deep Space Nine fan, I say, interesting. Okay.
Interesting.
I think like the more Daryl watches of the other series, like he might get more comfortable with doing questions, but usually the questions I try to find are like the really intricate details about like a certain situation. Like it'll be like a line of dialogue that has no bearing on the episode at all, where one person says, "Oh, let's order this from the replicator," and I'll ask him what it is.
That's pretty trivial.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
And that's always fun. And it's always fun when it's a particularly bad episode and you get to hear the guys react. And that's always fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, You can find these guys. Mike is at he is Icewarm on the internet. All Icewarm, kind of a nice little contradiction of terms, and fun. And Cody is at Catholic Sins. You can find him there. If you guys want to check out real quick, check out this show. If you want to check out this show and any other Chikara shows, you can go to smartmarkvideo.com. You can download this. You can buy the disc, the physical media. You can get it on demand. Just watch it on your browser. Check this out. Check out a bunch of stuff. Buy the stuff. Support indie wrestling. There's a couple of companies that really could use their support out there. They're kind of struggling. So go out there and try to support indie wrestling. They're not exactly washed in money, so they really do benefit from it. But yeah, that's it. We love Chikara, and that's our message for the day. DJM, what's going on over at Delta Julia, Mike?
Shooting the shit with two nerdy black guys is still going on. The Nanashi Anime Podcast is still in formulation. The International Anime League is currently in its first off-season. The teams have been formed. My co-hosts and I are getting ready for the first inaugural season of the International Anime League, and as you may or may not have heard, I have joined the A3K network over at anime3000.com. I will be doing podcasts, videos, convention stuff, and all sorts of weeaboo stuff for the A3K network over at anime3000.com. And as always, at Just Call Me DJM on Twitter, as long as I'm not hashtag evicted.
Yes. Of course, you can find me at Rave. I'm doing all these same things, Fanny Pack Wrestling Podcast, the Harajuku. We talk about the K-pop and the record breakers, and we review the albums like we're the Sword and Laser of music.
Can I come on Record Breakers again?
Is that is the plan. There's plan formulating. There's things that are brewing, and it might not actually be the way you think it is going to be. Surprises! But look forward to that. Rebelli.net for all the shows. Check out FannyPackWrestling.com, FannyPackWP. Check us out, iTunes, Stitcher. Subscribe to us, share, like us, give us reviews. Just check us out. Let us know how we're doing. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Hasta mañana. Don't you dare get any on you. Thanks for watching.
I'm going to have a cheesy gordita crunch when this is over.
All right.